The Sixers' big three. Where does this big three stack up to the ones of recent history? Hmm. We'll talk about that and more next on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But hey, this summer, you got track and field and you have FanDuel. Because guess what? FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Hello, my name is Keith Pompey, and this right here is my right-hand man, John Mitchell, the king of R&B, hip-hop, knowing all the songs back in the day. But we're the co-hosts of Locked On 76ers. Come get us daily. But today we got a lot to talk about. We got some real stuff to talk about. Now, when it comes down to this big three, everybody's excited and this and that, and I understand it. But how does this big three stack up to ones in recent history? I mean, you had the Brooklyn Net ones. Last year, you had the one in Phoenix. Hey, you had the one with the Clippers that Paul George was a part of, right? So Miami had one back in the day. Hey, the Boston Celtics. List goes on and on and on. So we're going to talk about that. But we're also going to talk about the position of need for the 76ers. They don't have a power forward, y'all. They don't have a true power forward. And how might that impact Paul Reed's future here? And then length on the perimeter. So those are the three things we're going to talk about in these segments. But first, we got to talk about the big three. And Mitch, how does the 76ers big three stack up to you compared to the ones in recent history around the NBA?
Well, we're going to find out soon, Keith. I think, if you look at some of the big threes that you mentioned, let's look at Phoenix's most recent one with Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. That's
it was just abomination.
Yeah. I mean, that was
roster construction.
Yeah. And that's not the first big three that Durant's been a part of. I think that the 76ers big three, they fit well because you've got a big man, and you've got this 6'9" swing guy who's a shooter, who's a defender, and you've got the ascending star in Tyrese Maxey. So I think the pieces fit well. You know what I mean? I think like Phoenix just seemed like it was so forced. And the big three that Paul George is coming from could never stay on the floor. Consistently together. And I think that will be the biggest challenge for the 76ers. But, as we move forward, let's give, Paul Reed played 70 plus. Paul George, pardon me, played 70 plus games last season. And he had a very good season. So I think as far as the big three, I think this is the most natural. This fits naturally. It's very cohesive, very seamless. And, we'll see. Again, the durability is going to be their biggest question. On those nights when it's a big two and, dare I say a big one. But I like it. I do like the way the pieces fit. I think, and that's probably one of the benefits of having so many free agent slots available in this, the way the Sixers were going into free agency with all those spots available, you could find the guys, and it just so happens that they got Paul George. So I like it. I was trying to wonder myself, kids, when was the last time the 76ers even had a big three, man?
The last time the 76ers had a big three was a big three was, it had to be the year. Well, I mean, they had a big four. But I guess, back in the 80s, I want to say like the Dr. J's era, you know what I mean? Like that, and when Barkley was here. And the reason why I'm saying that is, as far as the big four, is because, they had Mo Cheeks. Mo Cheeks was, he didn't really get the recognition like the hoop lob, but everybody knew the man could play, right?
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Hall of Famer, exactly. So, but he wasn't flashy. He wasn't this and that.
Right.
He was bona fide, legit. So, and Andrew Toney, unfortunately, like he didn't get the respect either. But when you look at it, you have to say Moses, Barkley, and Doc.
Mm-hmm.
They were a big three. And even, dude, that team was phenomenal when you think about it. But when I look at this big three, now you said the big one, so I want to. What you mean? Like if both of them get hurt?
Yes. At some point you're gonna see the big one. You're gonna cover some games with the big one.
Yeah, the big one. One. It's gonna be one of those. We're gonna be somewhere in. It's gonna be a marquee game too, man. It's gonna be somewhere on the road.
Christmas Day.
On Christmas Day. It's like,
Christmas.
One of them in a back-to-back rest day. Well, Christmas is not a back-to-back, but it's going to be one of those things. But the problem is when you look at the big threes that worked, and I'm gonna use two of them that were very successful. The Miami Heats with Bosh, D Wade, and LeBron, right?
Yeah.
You look at the other one that worked to perfection, one at Chip, was the Boston Celtics with with Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen, right? Heck, you look at the Spurs with
Spurs,
with Duncan, the point guard, and you know what I mean. So the difference is between all those and the ones that the Sixers have, I think that could help them. Knock on wood, the injury.
Yeah,
they play different positions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy as we want to, and they got different types of games.
Right.
Like I think the part of the problem that stuff didn't work in Brooklyn is because it was kind of like, and I get it. This is the how should they say? Well, first of all, they had outside stuff that was bothering them too. Like Kyrie didn't really want to play.
Yeah.
But all three of those guys are dominant with the ball in their hands.
Right.
Then none of them are kind of sort of like secondary players. You had three guys. Now, don't get me wrong. KD was in Golden State where they made it work. It worked in Golden State with that big three. But at the same time, they all needed the ball in Brooklyn. They all had similar games. And they all weren't guys that could stand around and watch other people dominate the ball.
Right.
And I think the same thing with Phoenix. Like you go to Phoenix and with Bradley Beal, like first or second option.
Yeah.
Devin Booker, they had their most success when he was scoring a lot of points.
They also couldn't stay very healthy either.
Yeah, they couldn't stay healthy. But I'm like, dude, they didn't have, like, you took guys who were like two guards and threes and telling them one of y'all got to be the point guard and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
One of y'all got to stand in the corner. So they didn't have help. But like, to me, when I look at this Sixers thing, I look at it like, wow, you got an all-star guard. Bang. You got an all-star wing. Bang.
Yeah.
And you got an all-star center, 3 different levels. The same thing with Brooklyn. I mean, excuse me, the Celtics back in the day. You got an all-star guard. Boom. Yeah. You got an all-star small forward. Boom. All-star power forward. Boom. Mm-hmm. And then with Miami Heat, Chris Bosh. Boom, boom, boom. Now the question is, for it to work with the Sixers, somebody has to sacrifice their game.
And somebody,
and who that person going to be? Seriously, that's how it works.
Yeah, I agree.
Somebody has to sacrifice. It was Chris Bosh in Miami. It was Ray Allen in Boston.
Yeah.
Who's going to sacrifice the game?
Yeah, and that is I think somebody has to make some adjustments to his. Well, they all have to make adjustments. And that's maybe something we can delve into a little bit later in this episode, because that is, I mean, like you said, that's a huge part of it. Somebody is going to have to change the way they play, not to their detriment, but to the team's benefit. And we can talk about that a little bit later after we talk about FanDuel, because Keith, just like you, I love these sports, and I love them so much that I never want them to stop. But the NBA has come to a screeching halt, and now we've just got to watch this free agency, which has become a form of sport, and so we're just getting fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. I can't wait to see what they had come up with during the Olympics. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? You have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Well, why don't you make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single solitary day.
So y'all better do it today, people. Definitely do it today. So definitely. You definitely. Yo, what you rocking, the Eagles jersey?
I'm actually rocking around a Cunningham jersey.
Oh, yeah. Hey, look.
Randall.
But guess this. So y'all gonna kill me on here.
You gonna tell that deep dark secret?
Ever tell you that?
Well, I mean your other secret about your fandom. But go ahead.
Okay. No, seriously. See, because I was a track geek. Track geek. Still am.
Yeah. I've heard.
I used to run track back in the day. I never told you my Randall Cunningham story. So I was a track geek. Come to find out, Randall Cunningham was a track geek. At the Penn Relays, I come off the daggone race, come off the thing, and there's Randall standing there, and everybody going goo goo gaga.
Yeah.
And so Randall was like, "Hey, what's up?" And he was just, he's I was a kid. He said, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "What's up?" We're talking. And he's and I'm like, "Dad, I didn't know you was in the track like that." Like, and he was like, yeah, this and that, da da da. So then the dude was like, "Yo, you want an autograph?" No, I was like, "Nah."
Randall said that to you?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was hella cool. So I was like, "Nah." And he was like, "Huh?" And I was like, "Nah, dude, I don't like you like that." Yo, so my man was like, nah, he joking. We want an autograph. So he gave autograph. So I was like, so when we left, I was like, "Man, I want this." So my boy was like, "I take it." Rest in peace, Donald Cosby. I take it. Wow. So he took it. So he's like, "Yo, man, Keith crazy." He turned down the autograph and then he gave it away. And they was like, "Yo, but you were sitting there talking to him." Like, "Yeah, he's a cool dude, but I don't like it." Yeah, so that was my Randall Cunningham story.
Man,
my
guy, man.
But that's a fat jersey though.
When he threw that flat-footed pass out of the end zone, Fred Barnett, and that one Monday night game where I think one of the New York Giants took his legs out. One of your New York Giants took his legs out, and he caught himself on one hand and got right back up, and then threw a touchdown. Those to me today.
Technical difficulty. I think this podcast is shutting down. Yeah, Randall was good though. He was before his time though. He was the man. He was the man. Yo, it was funny watching him play and looking at Ryan Jaworski like, oh, you done. Man, but yeah, that Randall was the good dude.
I never saw Lawrence Taylor hit anybody harder than he hit Ryan Jaworski.
Yeah, he used to kill him. Yeah, Ryan. Yeah.
But we digress.
We digress. We digress. But that's just the one thing. So don't hate me, y'all. I know I messed up, but it is what it is. But listen, so you're right, man. We talked about like who is going to be the one who sacrifices.
Yeah.
And who do you think has to sacrifice on this team?
Not so much sacrifice, but alter.
Well, who do you think is going to have to alter?
I think the player that's going to have to alter his game is Joel. I think he's going to have to play and not because he's the man. But I want to see Joel now. Because I want to give the guys on the perimeter as much space as possible to operate. Crowding the elbow and crowding the free throw line and crowding the top of the key. I want to see less of that, and I know people watching and know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want it to be gone by no stretch of the imagination. And maybe somebody at times will have to step into the corner, but I don't want to see that Tobias Harris step into the corner. By the way, shout out to him for getting paid again in Detroit. But yeah, I think it's going to have to be. I think it's going to have to be Joel. I think Joel's going to have to alter his game some, and I know I'm not alone in that position. In that stance.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. That's true.
I mean, Paul George has to fit in, but Joel is talented enough to alter his game. They're all talented enough to alter their games.
So here's my thing to you. So we're talking about free agency, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the need for a power forward and how does that impact you? I mean, I'm having a hard time with this. I'm trying to understand the money that the Sixers have available for cap space. Like it's around, could be 14, 17, whatever. Like if that's not a lot, right?
Right.
But then we'll talk about who are available guys. Now, what they need is they need a guy. They don't need someone who's trying to be the man. They need a guy who's going to come in there and grab rebounds, have a high basketball IQ, do stuff like Nico Batum did.
Man, that hurt.
Hit shots and do stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this. Here goes some of the top power forwards still available as of right now. The number one is Miles Bridges out of Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is Kyle Anderson out of Minnesota, right?
Mm-hmm.
He made $9.2 million last year. Let me go back to Bridges made 16.3.
Mm-hmm.
Number three is Terrence Prince, who made $4.5 million last year with the Lakers. Okay. Right. Number four is Jeff Green. Old head. So old head. Number five is Jay Crowder with the Bucks. Mm-hmm. He made $3.1 million last year.
He played like it.
Number six is Marcus Morris. I would love to have Marcus Morris back. Right?
You want your North Philly buddy back.
Yeah. Number seven is Davis Bertans. He would stretch the floor. Definitely stretch the floor, but I don't know if he's grabbing any rebounds.
Yeah.
Number 8 is Gallinari.
Really?
Right. And then number 9 is Trendon Watford from Brooklyn. Now, any of those dudes seem like a great fit for you.
I would say, Miles Bridges. I mean, he's got some issues attached to him, but I mean, if I could just from a player standpoint, I think I like Miles Bridges the most in that situation. Some of the names you threw out, Gallinari, he's long in the truth now. Yeah, so I would say Miles Bridges is my guy, man. If how much is he making?
See, he made a lot. You said Miles Bridges?
Yeah.
He trying to get the bag. That's the
Yeah.
thing. And I ain't mad at him. He made 7.9 million last year. He's one of them dudes. If it wasn't for the off the court incident situations, he would have been paid. He wouldn't be available. He would be elsewhere. He would be somewhere, yeah. But my thing is like I like Terrence Prince too. I mean, him or like Jeff Green is getting a little bit older, and I don't know if he's a starter anymore. But Jake Crowder is intriguing to me. I mean, I'm talking about getting somebody who can space the floor and has the toughness to play solid D. You know what I mean? That's what you need for that position, in my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, because like you said, you need a guy who can get in and fulfill a role, and play. We not just a warm body. Crowder, he didn't play. I mean, the whole Milwaukee thing was stale last year. You know what I mean? But and how much was he making?
Last year, Crowder didn't make anything really. I mean, he made a lot to me. He made $3.1 million last year. Now, Marcus Morris, I would love to have him if I was the Sixers because he brings that toughness. You saw how he was raining threes when Joel was there. I mean, playing off of him.
And he played well. He played
well. The only thing is though, is I don't know if he want to take a pay cut. No, he's trying to get paid. Now he is getting a little older, but he proved to be a good dude. The defensively, I wonder if he can still, because you're going to need somebody out there that's going to be a rugged defender too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just going to need that.
Yeah.
But as far as hitting shots,
and he's gonna bring that dog, and maybe he's like, hey man, this is my last go round, this is my last thing, let me do it in my hometown. I mean, he's made enough money. I mean, that's easy for me to say, not counting his pocket.
I know you out there counting, my man. You out there counting, my man. Because remember though, he started getting paid late in his career.
Yeah.
So it ain't like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like Chris Paul, like, yo, give me 11 mil. I done already made near a billion. So
it's funny, man. While we on the whole Philly thing, I never will forget one time Larry Merchant was asking Bernard Hopkins because Don King was screwing Bernard early in his career.
Yeah,
and Bernard had won a championship by this point, and they were asking Larry Merchant was asking him at this point. Bernard was well into his 40s, marvelous career for somebody fighting for titles in his late 40s. And Larry Merchant asked me, said, what's more important to you, the money or the millions? And Bernard looked at him with that smile and said, the millions. You know what I'm saying? I said, I feel you, bro. The titles are nice, but get that money.
Yeah, the titles or the millions. Yeah, exactly.
The money or the titles,
Yeah, he said the money. Yeah. I don't blame him. All right, but okay. I think I would go with. I like Prince is pretty good, but the guy that I like is Jay Crowder. I like Jay Crowder the most, and then after that, Marcus Morris. I do. I mean, just for what they have. If you can get a Miles Bridges, you good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, how is Miles Bridges going to adapt to being the fourth option?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They have some options. It just, I mean, and now the carrot is that you're dangling now was the potential to win a championship.
Yeah, but when you're young, how are you going to adapt to being the fourth option? I mean, that's just my question. I mean, and then you're going to pay that guy a lot. You got to pay him a lot of money to be the fourth option. That's how you get in trouble. That's how you get in that Tobias Harris situation. You're giving him all this money, but you want him to be the fourth option. And when he doesn't produce, then you got a problem because you gave him a lot of money as a first option money or second option money.
Yeah.
But you're not, you know what I mean? So that's the only question. That's the only thing that I say. That's it.
Yeah.
That's my only concern about that. Don't get me wrong. I like the brother a lot. But that's just my only concern. And we'll be right back in a couple seconds. Right back. I told you that we'll be right back. Yeah. But look, so when we talk about it, just to everybody in this thing, not end it, but you know what I mean, get off. So when you look at this and you look at the fact that they don't have a power forward, and you see that, Paul Reed is he's center, but he's kind of like a power forward playing center. Do you think that helps his chances? Or if you're them, do you release him, get more money? You could get a guy that you really want, and then maybe get a backup too at that position.
Yeah, if it's a business, and if they can get more money and make more money available to themselves on the cap to get better, then you release them. And we all like Paul Reed, but it's all business. It's all about the Benjamins, and I think requiring more Benjamins to win a championship, you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. And I think Paul Reed can play the power. I mean, he's done whatever the 76ers have asked him to do. He's took over that role, backing up Joel when he was clearly undersized. And the Sixers wanted to experiment with some small ball, and he did that well. But if you can get more money and more space, and you have to release him, And again, I'm always saying that I want to see them develop somebody, but I don't know how close Paul Reed is to his ceiling. I think he's closer than we like to think sometimes. And if you can get a piece who is a bigger contribution and who now fits with what you have, because theoretically your center situation should be fine unless somebody gets hurt, unless you suffer an injury around the center position.
Yeah, they just got to decide what they want to do with the big.
They got to figure it out,
Because it's funny, because there's times like when you go to summer league and all this stuff, you used to see them working out, doing power forward stuff.
Yeah.
And then when the season started and the doc, they got them at the 5. It's like, but you had them doing power forward stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of like, you'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think he can play. I like him a lot. I still think he's a legitimate player. I think that there's a lot of, like we talked about yesterday, some pressure on him, and he said certain things. But, he had a bad playoff series, but, man, he had a hell of a playoff series against the Brooklyn Nets the year before when Joel was out. Yeah. He came in and he was balling, man, straight balling. He had some pretty good games this year. I just feel like that was a small matchup again for him, right? Talking about New York. So it is what it is, but they just got to figure it out. But I do think he can help him at the 4 as a backup 4. But again, that's unfortunate when you have that 9 guaranteed contract.
Yeah, man.
It's really good to trade and wait. So they got a lot of thinking to do, but he is the type of player that Nick Nurse thrives with.
He is that lengthy, athletic. Yeah. So, and I'm sure he's probably in good standing with the team.
He is. He's a good dude. Good dude. But look, y'all, we want to thank y'all for listening. We want y'all to have a blessed day, right? And don't do like I did. Whenever you see these guys, don't be that kid talking about Nah, I don't want it, man. That thing would have probably been worth some money. Some money. Randall was the man. Huh?
He's past the Cunningham now.
Oh yeah, I know, right? Well, Coach Cunningham too, with his daughter, the
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it is what it is. But you know what? He ain't better than his brother, Bam Cunningham.
Bam.
He integrated the South football. You know that, right? You know that story, right? About Sam Cunningham.
I knew that was his brother. Was his
Yeah,
brother
but you
or half
never heard
brother?
what happened? You never heard that story. So what happened is he was the running back, the tailback at USC. Alabama at that time they had all white players. They didn't have any brothers, right? So he went down there and destroyed Bama.
Yeah.
And Bear Bryant brought him into the locker room after the game. Said, "Fellas, this is a football player." After that, they started having black players because he destroyed him. Yeah.
I heard something. I mean, I knew about that game where USC destroyed them.
Yeah, that's how they ended.
Completely changed the trajectory of whom they recruited.
Exactly. So, they ain't want any black players. Until after that game, they saw how he was killing them.
Alabama will Alabama. But hey, man, kudos to Bear Bryant for recognizing we ain't gonna win without these brothers.
Yep, that's what happened. That's how it happened.
We're gonna have to beat the Brigham Youngs of the world.
All right. Peace. We get on, y'all.
But hey, did you know today is National Sports Writers Day?
Oh.